Tom, with Phil Dracovic, where do you think that the biggest gain from Blue Gold game ends to today has been for him? Because Chip was in here, he said really his progress was his number one thing over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think with Phil, I think it's probably a little bit, a lot was made after the Blue Gold game, and I think there was a lot more progress during the spring than probably that game showed. So I think a lot of that was not unfair because he needed to play better, but probably a little misleading on where we thought he was and what he could accomplish. But for Phil's improvement through the summer, really after the first couple practices, I think he took a lot of ownership in what he was trying to accomplish. He took more ownership in getting his feet better. He took more ownership in learning the offense and making sure that when he stepped on the field that there wasn't a drop mentally, where he wanted to be. So his ownership and what he wanted to accomplish and his ability to push himself and to stay focused on some of the fundamental things and really just take another level into the playbook to get us into the right plays and make sure that mentally he was sharp has come a long way. I think one thing we've talked about, with him throughout this entire camp was when the plays are there, let's make them. When the plays aren't there, let's get us to a positive gain. Let's get us out of trouble. And that's something as a young quarterback he needed to learn. The plays are there, let's make them, let's deliver, but let's also recognize when maybe it's not there and, when we need to tuck it and run or when we need to throw it away and get us out of a negative play.
Do you see a more confident player, and is that relevant?
It's very relevant. I think especially at the quarterback position, confidence plays a huge role. As you get more reps and as you have more success, that's naturally going to come. And I think Phil, developed that in the middle part of camp, and it's carried through now. And, as we shift gears here and go out of camp and get ready for preparation, now it's all about, hey, you're a play away from being in there and when it really matters. So you need to step on the field. And it's a cliche. Everyone says it, like you need to prepare to be the starter, but it's a cliche for a reason, and it's real. Like you need to prepare every day with the intensity like you're going to play on Saturday. And I think that's his next step of understanding, as we get ready to play our opponents, like you need to be as invested in the game plan as anybody on the field.
And do you feel more confident if you have to put him in that he'll be ready to go than you did August 1st?
Yeah, I think as he's developed through camp, he's shown his ability to make plays and really just run what's in the offense and understand what we're trying to accomplish. And he's made great strides, and yeah, definitely I'm excited about how he's progressed. Sure.
Tom, as you get more experience as a coach, how do you think you've evolved since you first got to Notre Dame, and what are some areas that you personally have tried to continue to evolve as a coach? Yeah,
I think you always push yourselves to learn more, and the more you're around people that have been in this profession a long time, the more you're able to do that. So, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of really great coaches on this staff, on other staffs, to try to gain as much knowledge from them as I can. I think you learn about the guys in your room, and you learn, people learn differently, and you need to focus on individuals. And, if it's clicking for Ian, is it clicking for Phil? And if there's a different way to present something that's going to make sense, to another guy in the room, how do you do that? And, I think that there are times where you got to be tough and demanding and really push people. And there are times, when you get off the field, you can kind of step back and have more of a conversation about what you're trying to accomplish. So I think just handling those relationships, developing different teaching mechanisms for how people learn differently. And then like I started with just, when you're surrounded by people that have been in this profession a long time and have done things that you want to do and have been around coaches and have learned a lot themselves, you try to, take as much in as you can and try to be, you put away an ego just to learn and get better and really strive to, take up as much information as you can.
And kind of how do you manage that, sort of when to be tougher or throttle up or throttle down on those guys?
Yeah,
how much does it help, I guess, that you're not that far removed from your playing days?
Yeah, I think if you build a good relationship, with the guys in your room, they know when the coaching gets hard that it's not, a personal attack. It's more we just, we're trying to get things right. So I think the first thing is, building that strong relationship with the guys in the room. And then on the field, I kind of just let, my emotion take over at times. If I feel like it needs to be pushed or we need to, ramp up the energy a little bit, you kind of just have a feel for how your guys are going to respond to that, and, you react accordingly.
Coach, to your left, could you assess Ian Book's camp overall, and kind of what was your chief goal for him coming in as a veteran, how you were going to push him to this point?
Yeah, I think the biggest change for Ian is that, you go from being the kid that, probably wasn't supposed to play, and then you come in and play so well and everyone loves you, and now, hey, you're the guy and your expectation level is through the roof. So how are you that steady every day? How do you continue to make big plays? How do you continue to get better? And, for me, the advancement for him was, we need to push the ball down the field and be more consistent there. And then the next step is, for him to get through progressions without, trying to get out of the pocket all the time. You don't want to take that game away from him, but you also want him to see, hey, if you get through mentally quicker, there are some good things happening where we can get the ball to. So, he's improved, in those areas. I think he's learned what it's like to be a returning starter here and what the expectation level is and what his commitment level needs to be. He handles himself extremely well in all assets of, what's expected of him. And I think, he's done some things with our wideouts and our tight ends and our running backs and meeting with them separate and kind of, being a leader that way, which has really helped him and helped those guys all be on the same page.
Obviously, getting the win was the most important thing on the trip to Northwestern last year. But what was that experience like for you personally, having coached there and being from the region? And then what were some of the things that you learned when you were on staff there?
Yeah, I grew up going to a lot of Northwestern games, and my dad grew up, 2 blocks from the stadium. My grandma lives a couple blocks from the stadium. So, pulling up, through Wilmette and Evanston, where I've, essentially grew up going to was pretty cool. Obviously I worked there for a year and, I have some good relationships there, but, it's really more about just growing up in the area and being there so often. It was as cool of a, pregame as I can remember, just kind of the anticipation and going back there to play against them. And, once you kind of get going in the pregame routine, everything else kind of fades and you're really just focused in on getting the win and, making sure that, we're doing everything we can to be successful that night. Coach Fitz has been somebody that, has been a mentor to me. He's someone I'm still close with and talk to. And I learned a great deal about, the way he ran his program and the way, he treated everyone there. He treated me. So I have nothing but, positive things to say about him, his staff, the players there. They do it the right way. And, I'm glad we won. I wasn't, rooting for, that. But, no, I have nothing but respect for those guys. So,
Tom, right here to your left. Ian Book threw the ball really well today, including the deep ball, and that was something that was a little bit of a shortcoming last year. What are the technical aspects of improving that, the deep ball?
I think part of it's timing. I think anticipation and timing on those throws can help you a great deal, and that's something that we've continued to work on. Ian's extremely accurate, and he's always trying to make the perfect throw. And, deep balls don't always have to be the perfect throw. You have, opportunities to let your guys, make the play or run underneath it. And I think just understanding, when to drive one, when to give, a deep ball with some touch, with some air, and then anticipating, out of break so it doesn't have to be a 65-yard throw every time. So, there's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously the deep ball has been quite the conversation, but, he's taken upon himself to work at it, to get better, to push himself, to make sure that, when those big plays are presented, that we can capitalize on them.
Better to overthrow it than underthrow it, right? I mean, that means that you can get it there.
Yeah, better to hit it than not hit it, I would say.
No doubt. Did he get frustrated with it at times last year?
He's pretty cool, so, he doesn't let his emotions get, hold of him, too much. And, he does a great job of kind of, hey, next play, we still got it down to convert here. So, obviously he's a competitor and he wants to get better at areas where he knows he needs to be. So I think he's, really taken ownership of that. And, Coach Kelly talks about sharpening the axe all the time, and that's probably one of the areas where Ian needed to, work on. And so, he's done a really nice job of pushing that and understanding the importance of it and making sure that it's something that we work on every day.
And I know that Coach Long has talked, about last year not stretching the field well and not getting enough big plays. So I mean, that's all part of the plan here, right? To really expand the offense with that deep ball.
Yeah, I think we just, there's some missed opportunities and plays that we can capitalize on. I mean, you watch the Virginia Tech game, you can find about 6 or 7 of them. So, but I think that it was just a couple yards here, a couple yards there, a little rushed here, a little rush there, and just, something that as he continues to build that cohesiveness with the wideout group and the tight ends and the running backs, it's only going to get better, and it's something that he's focused on, we've all focused on, and it's something we're excited to see here come to fruition.
Thanks, Tom.
Tommy, how has Ian done? You mentioned the cohesiveness with the other guys. You've had some guys go out in the passing game with Cole Kmet and Michael Young go down with injuries. How has he done with adjusting to the new guys at those positions and making sure he's on the same page with those guys?
Yeah, really well. Like I said before, he's a very accurate guy. So, fortunately, he's able to adjust pretty well. Some of those other guys that have gotten reps in there are guys that he's repped with quite a bit. If you go back to last year where he wasn't always with the first team. So I think there is, a comfort level there with him and the other guys. And, we do such a good job, with Coach Alexander and the, other position groups of getting extra work and getting work with, the whole depth of that group that, it doesn't ever feel like you're thrown to somebody new. So, I haven't seen it really impact us a whole lot.